Alrighty, good morning. Coffee time with Cheryl. How's it going, Cheryl?
Oh, things are so great. Survived another week.
Yes, you just got through back with Black Friday. That's amazing. Yeah, it's quite a hectic time of year, and maybe we can even dive into that a little bit. But I know we had connected a couple weeks back in person, which is lovely to see you in person. And we tapped into how these cycles it's important to do the inner work, but how these being living in awareness and recognizing that we can get trapped in a cycle of repetitive behavior that can keep us stuck. So I'm gonna like hand it over to you and let you share how you've experienced it, and then I can piggyback on that.
Yeah, such a great topic though, because it is easy to get caught up in always trying to better yourself or finding ways to look at the past and see what it is that do I need to work on? Where are those shadows hiding and how can I move through them? And it's a process that we can easily get caught up in because we're just so hyper focused on becoming like the best versions of ourselves, but we're not taking that time to live in the moment and be grateful for the journey that we are on and all of the work that we've already done to get us from point A to point B. Always living the past and rehashing a lot of situations might not always be the best choice in some of those moments.
Right. I think you just described the classic overachiever perfectly, because that essentially is what it is. There is the having that being a classic overachiever wants to always surmount and be their best selves. And yes, when doing the inner work, there is a trap in that. And essentially that's your ego talking, because you're looking for something, you're trying to make things happen. So how do we get out of that trap? First of all, is just being in awareness and recognizing that the universe will show us what we need to see if we just allow it to be and truly live in the moment. And when we dive into that past, we do get sucked into perhaps a storyline that you've already overcome. So why do you want to relive that? Unless you need that time to pat yourself on the back and say, "Okay, I got through that and I don't need to go there anymore." But it really does lower your vibration when you keep going to these past traumatic events. And let's face it, it often is the lower vibrational experiences, the lessons that we go to, because it does have this emotional connection that's stored within us. It's traumatic, and so we tend to visit that again. But the past doesn't exist anymore. Like been there, done that, learned that lesson. Time to move on. If we really are going to shift and transform into our highest selves, we have to be willing to let go of that past version of ourselves.
Right. Letting go of the past version, but also recognizing that you did survive it. We are here. You survived it. You managed through it. You did learn some very important lessons, and just making sure that I like that you use the word awareness because it is awareness in the moments. Am I still practicing the lessons that I've learned, or am I falling back into old habits? But it's just that moment of time. It's not going deep back into the past to kind of find out more information because you already know the information.
Mhm, mhm. So what are some of the tools that you use to live in the moment? Because I think that is important to share.
Oh, some of the tools. I mean, it sounds silly, but breath work, like when just stopping in that moment, because sometimes, I mean, I just talked about this, but getting emotionally hijacked is a real thing because we're humans and emotions sometimes take over. So taking that time in that moment to stop, take some really deep breaths, kind of recenter yourself, and then look at the situation from a different lens because you have to stop that train that can become a big train wreck if you don't stop in that moment to recognize that emotions are taking over instead of um, who like instead of just being mindful of the moment.
I love that you said emotionally hijacked because essentially the emotions do take over and then it takes us down this train of thought that keeps us hooked into the past. So that is a beautiful way of describing it. And you're right, that awareness, breath work, just taking a second to just breathe into the now present moment and recognizing no, that happened in the past, but that doesn't have to continue moving forward. And then just recognizing that that was just a lesson and you've moved past it. But there are other things that can help us, especially for those who are overthinkers. I'm a classic Gemini. Air sign. I'm always thinking and my mind's going in multiple places. And for myself to truly not get hooked into old identities and things that keep me in a low vibration, I personally feel that the most valuable tool is working with an I am statement and repeating that over and over and over in my mind so that I can disconnect from that emotional trigger that brings me into the past and start to shift my energy into the now and what I want to create for my future. So, recognizing your belief systems and then upgrading them into a higher vibration, or whether it's if you're trying to alchemize your identity is recognizing an identity that is of a lower vibration and then shifting it into one that supports where you're heading in the future.
So would you then recommend that so instead of living in the past, which doesn't exist, the future doesn't really exist yet either, but we do have the ability to decide where we want to go in our future. So do you recommend like what do you recommend then to what process do you use to envision what your future is or where you want to go?
Juicy question. Yes. Okay. So a good example of this. Well, you're right. The future does not exist, but we are co-creating with the universe. So by holding this energy as above, so below, that's how we create and in have practicing envisioning this future version of yourself and then creating an I am statement, which also creates an energy around it. So, okay, a belief system, I actually wrote one down. Okay, this is a good one. So, when dealing with trust perhaps issues, especially if you've had um you've been disappointed in a relationship in the past, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a romantic relationship. It could be all kinds of relationships, right? So I just want to preface by saying I don't want to typecast it into one. So any relationship. So you're disappointed in um a relationship, a belief system now you have trust issues. But if you can shift that belief system about or identifying and having trust issues because you've been hurt in the past, recognize that okay, that came into my reality because I needed to learn something. That is a karmic lesson. And again, karmic, it's not bad. It's just a lesson that needs to be learned. It's information to help you shift into a higher vibration so you can let it go. So now moving forward, you are attracting new people because you've done the work. And so you're holding a higher vibration, but you're still identifying in that traumatic experience of the past. So you may have a belief system of this new person comes into your life, whether it be again, doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is, But on the back of your mind, you may be second guessing, this is too good to be true. That is a hard one to move past because you're trying to protect yourself. Again, that's your ego protecting yourself from having to relive that in the past. So, how I would get out of it is just by logically recognizing I moved out of that karmic lesson and moved past it. I've done the inner work. I am proud of myself and the person I've become. I know that what I'm offering is true. So who's to say that I am not attracting an equal counterpart or somebody who resonates from the same frequency as me? So that is where I'd use that logical process in a more positive, constructive manner to be able to work my way out of being hijacked into a traumatic experience of the past. Because if I exist and I believe in myself and I know that my heart is in alignment with my highest self, then I also know that other people are there as well because it can't just be me. So
Beautiful.
that's an example of how I do it.
Oh, it's a beautiful process though, and it just to me, it seems so clear and so much common sense that goes along with it, and knowing that your past was an experience that you went through and you did learn lessons, but it was just that one experience, and we can't transfer those past experience to our future experiences because it's never going to be the same. Not one thing about it is going to be identical. So just recognizing that each experience is that on its own, and then you just keep having these unique experiences, and if you can look at it and be able to shift that mindset and change your perspective in those moments, it's just it truly like opens up your heart, and it just allows you to go into a new experience or a new situation already at a higher vibrational like level. It's just it's I don't know, it's just a really beautiful place to live in.
It is, and it is a process. There's a lot of shedding, and are you willing to let go of what was? That is very challenging to do because
Sometimes, right? And fear, like, it's so scary to put your it feels like you're putting your heart into somebody else's hands, and you're like, "Please protect it as much as I would." But really, you're not. You're not giving them your heart. You have still control over it all times, but sometimes that's how it feels, is that you have to give it up, and really, you're not. You still will always have control over it.
yeah.
I don't even like the
Yeah, because you
but
all
you
well,
still
yeah,
own it,
you can
like, you're
always
still
walk
you.
away.
Right.
Everything nothing is static. Everything's fluid. You always have the opportunity to choose. And this is how we break out of these cycles. And yes, will be people who will try and like hold you in your past and they may say things like, "Oh, you changed." I don't know if you ever heard that before. You're different.
Oh,
You've
yes.
changed. Yeah, damn right I've changed. And that's a good thing. We're supposed to change. We're not meant to be stuck in the past. At least I don't want to be stuck in the past. If you want to stay there, go for it and keep reliving that experience. But no, I'm here to experience something new. And I'm willing to explore and take the steps to be a better version of myself. And I think the secret ingredient is just consistency. Don't give up. If you don't give up and you stay in that vibration of always pushing forward, it eventually has to break and it will manifest into reality. So if there is one important message in this is never ever give up on yourself, never ever give up on hope. There is always, you may think that if there's a trap or a setback or a block, but no, there's always a solution. You can navigate every situation and move out of it. You just have to be willing to look for it.
Well, look for it and have the courage. So, courage doesn't necessarily even mean that fear is not there. It doesn't mean that there's an absence of fear if I'm saying that you're courageous, but take the step anyways. Like, take your fear hand in hand and go into that situation, and you will see the way to navigate through it. But if you don't, if you allow other, like, fear or other emotions to stand in your way, then you're not going to take those steps, and you're not going to be able to see clearly on how to navigate through that situation. So it's really, really important to know, like, to be courageous and just keep moving forward.
Yes, keep moving forward. Don't give up. The courage. I when you said that you're right. When fear can creep in, and so that in itself, that energy will hold you back a little bit. And so that's where that not giving up is so important, because even though you're taking that leap of faith, that fear element will hold you back, but eventually you'll break through it and move forward. And I think that is where holding a high vibration, future casting is really imperative. Not playing into the illusion of what if a certain bad outcome can come through, and if you are going to do that, it's important to look at the opposite outcome. What are the best things that can come through from this? And that is always the game, is to look at the duality of everything, so that you can choose what you want to focus your attention on, and then feed it feed into that positive energy, because we can always alchemize into something new. I don't know if you watched that documentary with Martha Stewart, but that is a beautiful example of somebody who's always transforming, no matter what yeah, we make mistakes, we there's lessons there, but she's really like forthcoming about her story, and it's beautiful to see how, like, that woman is a magician of alchemy, and she's always reinventing herself into something new, and because she's in that energy of creation. Okay, opportunities come her way, she's going to embrace it and make the best of the situation, and maybe even ruffle a few feathers in the process. But because she's holding this energy of creation and exploration, that's what makes that has manifested in her life.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, such a great example. I haven't watched the documentary, but I have learned a lot about her and her journey. It's just purely it's so incredible that somebody's gone through so many like diverse experiences in their lives. Like, she truly has transformed like every part of her journey of her life. Um, but also, if we go back to talking about just a little bit about that energy of, when you say, like, what could possibly go wrong, or where, and then looking at the duality of it and say what could possibly go right. If you even just try that yourself in the moment, anybody can see the difference in the energy that goes into, oh, what if I fail, or what if this doesn't work out, or what if this doesn't go the way that I want, compared to, oh my goodness, what if this works out for me? What, like, and envision what that looks like, and take that energy is in the energy of excitement and hope and possibilities, and just like looking at it from the two different angles, the energies that are going into it. And anybody can do this, whether you believe whatever you believe in. If you just try to envision each of those possibilities, you can clearly see there's a difference of energy that goes into one or the other. Like, it's so just blatantly obvious. And just keep trying. Like we said, like, don't give up. But it's really important when you look at the possibilities of what if this succeeds, and it might not quite succeed the first time, but all of the things that you've learned from that experience, in because you looked at it in that perspective of what if this goes the way that I want. It's just it's just so exciting. It's an excitement for your journey through life instead of this despair of all the things that could go horribly wrong.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So what you just described there, essentially, and I think it's important to repeat, when you basically alchemize a winning or losing situation into a win-win situation. Essentially, that's what we're doing. So how do we do that? All the things that can go wrong, all the things that can go right. So that is a win-lose situation. We want to shift that into a win-win situation. It's all the things that can go wrong in the moment, but really it's just a course correction. So now all of a sudden it's a win-win situation. All the things that can go right, and maybe with some extra surprises in the process, and all the things that go wrong that are really just course corrections to bring us into how it can go right, because there's something to be learned there. So that is a classic way of shifting our mindset into a win-win mindset so that we can take those leaps of faith that will move us into a new experience of our creation.
Absolutely. And this one, that step, that one is probably the least difficult, I guess is the word. Like it is an easier transformation in that moment than, when we talk about a lot of big heavy things like doing the inner work and shadow work, and that is like big heavy, like there are a lot of things that we have to go through in life that are going to really challenge us. But some mindset shifts, if we really have that intention behind it, and that um to in that moment to just shift it slightly, it makes all of the difference in the world. And that's something that everybody could start practicing now, no matter where you're at in your journey.
Mm-hmm. And for people who, because it is a difficult process to do, so we do need to surround ourselves with people, places, things that support that. And I can't stress enough how important it is to have accountability partners, whether it's a friend, coaches. There's so many coaches out there. Are you following on these social media platforms where the messages are positive and encouraging, and they keep us encouraging us to make these positive changes in our lives, to see things from a higher perspective so that we don't get trapped in that loop that keeps us low.
Absolutely. Oh, so many people out there that are there to help support us and guide us and lift us up. Even in your own inner circles, it's just as important to surround yourself with those people that like are your biggest cheerleaders, and that are, fill your life with encouragement and positivity. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I know, and it's encouraging.
And I
I'm
guess in the
starting
other
to
way too, also recognizing that sometimes you have to let people go because they're not part of your
Mhm.
journey any longer. And that's a difficult one. That's
That's
a
a
difficult one
really
because
hard one.
that's a really hard one because I mean, because of so many reasons, but it is like that's something that I'm working on now. Just recognizing, like, is there somebody or something? It might not even be a person, but that's still holding me back in my evolution, right? And just in those moments, recognizing, like, oh, is this me? Is this my ego? Like, which way am I going right now? So, but really, really important to, as you go along your journey, to really be aware of the things or people that still might be holding you back, and
Or
knowing
what
that
you're
it's
willing to entertain. Okay, so this is a big one. Karmic entanglements are real. So if you choose to become involved or to support somebody who is going through something, then you are choosing to entangle your energy with them. That is a choice. So recognizing, okay, when am I just going to sit back and allow things to unfold and hold a neutral energy, or when, or or am I going to entertain somebody else's story and become involved? Because that in itself, because there are a lot, let's face it, a lot of empaths want to save the world, want to help people, and they'll jump in where it's maybe not their place to jump in. Maybe they're just supposed to be there and just be a neutral party in that person's life. And sometimes we do need to walk away. So I think it's important to recognize these energetic entanglements that are very real, because if you choose to become involved, if you choose to buy into a story that may or may not be true, that will affect you and it will slow down your manifestations. It will slow down all your good karma because you chose to entangle yourself with something that will hold you back.
Oh, yes. And I'm telling you guys, it's difficult. I mean, I finally released somebody after like 40 years of my life, and
Woo!
it feels great, but there's still like this little ball inside of me that's like, oh, just reach out to them. And I'm like, "No, they have no value in my life anymore. They don't encourage me. They're not really, truly a very good person. Like, why?" And then I ask myself, why do you want them back?
And what
What
came through when you
value
asked
do they
that?
bring? There is no reason. There
Okay.
is nothing
It
that
was
there
just a habit.
it was a
Was it just a
habit.
habit? Yeah.
It was a habit. It
Or
was
maybe there's
oh
a
my
soul
gosh, like
tie.
a bad habit. It was a
I
bad
don't know
habit.
if
But being proud of myself to know that, oh my gosh, I have finally let go. And the weight of that, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that I was carrying that much weight on me with this one person. And now it like it's really so much lighter. It's really opened my heart. Like my heart is just completely open now. And that was a big thing for me. I was protecting my heart so much that I wasn't allowing anybody in, not even just this trying to protect it from this one person, but I was not allowing anybody in. So it's difficult for anybody that's on this journey. There are going to be some people, and it's really going to be a difficult decision and process. But just have patience with yourself, and if you slide back, then just keep
it sounds to me
recentering
that
yourself.
like that person, when I'm feeling into it, there was a lot of energy harvesting happening, and it sounds like a really strong soul tie. So that was your lesson in it. That was a karmic relationship. There was a lesson to be held that can walk away, but their lesson in that is that they can stand alone. They need to learn to stand in their own energy and be accountable for the reality that they're creating. They cannot blame it on you anymore or connect to you or hook you in. That is important. That is a very, very important lesson. And when I talk about we all go through this. Like nobody can escape this. This is part of the game of life. And if you see somebody who has shifted out of that, recognize that they aren't better than you. They've just taken the journey. They have done the work. They've chosen to explore all this stuff and move past it. So be inspired by that person, because if they can do it, so can you. Anything is possible. And this is how the whole planet is going to shift into a higher vibration. It's just taking the steps to elevate yourself, learn what needs to be learned so you don't get stuck in that karmic loop, and then move past it. Move into the next level, if you will. That's the journey.
Absolutely. And that's why I love these conversations and sharing our stories, because I'm really hoping somebody else will see that it is possible to do, because sometimes when you're in those moments, it does seem like an impossible task or an impossible process, but it really, I mean, it's really necessary, first off, because um, you want to become your most elevated, best version of yourself. And we really shouldn't be allowing these other people to hold us back from our own journeys. And again, and I love the word that you use is choice. They're all our own choices.
Mhm.
We are allowing those people to hold us back. We are allowing to those people to continue to, you know, keep our vibration low because I don't know, because of whatever reason, but to make the choices to take the path and step away from those people. It's possible, it's necessary, and at the end, when you get past that, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh my gosh, the way spirit works with me, I get these visuals and it's often through like characters, these caricatures, I guess if you will. And I'm envisioning you like running full speed ahead, and there's this hook that's hooked behind you with like this, it looks like a little like villain, if you will,
Oh,
holding on.
that's absolutely what it felt like, though. I'm like, "Oh, I
And
got caught again! I got caught again!"
yes, and then you just stop. And what I saw was you just stopped and really easily you just turned around and went unhooked it, and then it was like flash full speed ahead. So that was a beautiful visual. Thank you, spirit.
Oh, that's exactly how it felt, though. It was like because I just kept getting sucked back in and sucked back in and sucked back in, and then but I had the last time I had the intention, I was like, "No, this is it." And it once I broke that chain, because that's like for me, that's what it felt like, just this chain that I could go so far, and then it's like, "Oh, no, you gotta come back." So once I broke that chain, it was like, "Oh my gosh." I did it,
Freedom.
and I felt so much pride, and I know that's ego, but I was just so grateful that I had the intention, I knew it was gonna do it, I knew I was gonna stick to it, and, oh,
Okay, that's not pride. That's
it
not
just
pride.
feels like I just I am just so I just am so happy with myself that I elevated like I just jumped a million levels after after I
Yes.
let that go. It was just like a springboard up into like
Yes.
anyways.
And what that's belief in self. That's not pride. When you like can truly believe in yourself and keep taking those steps forward, that is a beautiful quality to have. If anybody's going to have an I am statement that they need to work with, make it that one because that is such a powerful, transformative belief system. I believe in myself. Then you could do anything. It's not
Oh, to
pride.
say it and believe in it. Oh my gosh. I thought I had believed in myself, but to actually I said it and to actually feel it along with the words, it's magic.
Right. So again, going back to earlier, for people who like are in their minds and all these stories and belief systems that are running through their mind, become obsessive. Often they're obsessive people. Become obsessive with the belief system and just keep repeating that. I believe in myself. I believe in myself. And you do it until you truly embody it so you can feel it. And sometimes some people have a hard time feeling it, especially if you're in a lower vibration. And I would say do it until all of a sudden you hear it in your mind and you don't have to tell yourself to say it. Then you know it's been reprogrammed on a subconscious level because it starts to play in the back of your mind. And then you can shift into a new I am statement. So that is the process of getting out of your mind, your head, and shifting your thoughts into a higher vibration. It works. It really works.
It does. It does. Because it does have to start with the words. You have to hear the words to be able to take action towards feeling the words.
Mhm, mhm. So
So
no,
what
you
are
go.
some examples, more examples, just for people that want to practice this more, what would be more examples of those I am statements?
How I do it, I won't look for it. Again, we don't wanna look for it, that's then the overachiever comes out. So I would listen to what pops into your mind. So if a statement comes into your mind, like, "This is too good to be true," or she, they're too perfect." I don't know, whatever. So, backtrack. Listen to whatever comes into your mind and then say, I'm going to rebuke this. I'm done with this. This is BS. I'm not going to believe in this anymore. And then take a few minutes, connect to your heart. What do I want to believe instead? Because anything's possible. So, again, get out of those limiting belief systems. And sometimes we'll hear a person from our past creep in their voice. Again, rebuke that. That's all this stuff, that energy that needs to be alchemized in something higher. So listen to whatever comes through, because ignoring it is just delaying your alchemy. So hear it. I rebuke it. This is bullshit. I'm not going to listen to this anymore. And then listen to your heart and connect to one that is in its polarity, and an energy that is of an opposition, that holds a positive, uplifting message, and then repeat that over and over and over until it pops into your subconscious. So I'm not going to say exactly one specific one, because every person is different. Everybody has grown up in a different environment and has been programmed differently. Yes, there's obviously there's some themes that are repeating, like the that are around unworthiness or not enough, which is in separation. But I think that is a beautiful way of doing the inner work, doing the journey. And then um what's coming through right now is like it's holiday time, and being present can be hard, especially when there are relationships that you can't unhook from, because they're family ties there. And yes, ultimately you can say no. You can always choose to say, I'm not going to um participate in certain social interactions. But sometimes just allowing things to unfold around you. So I'm thinking specifically around perhaps family dinners, and you will recognize the patterns of conversations that start to play out. And the hero may want to come in and save the day and be the peacemaker, which is beautiful. And sometimes it's needed. But sometimes there's a lot of power in just sitting back and allowing things to be, as long as it doesn't escalate into something toxic, of course, because then you're enabling. But sometimes people just don't see it, and your silence is powerful, and that will be recognized in itself. And then when the door opens and somebody may invite you into the conversation, well, you're quiet, what do you think about it? Then you can just be honest and say, "Do you know what, I don't resonate with that anymore, and I'm not going to entertain this, but you are welcome to do you." So that's powerful in itself.
Absolutely. There are some people that we really can't disconnect from, and but it's really important that we don't change who we are in those moments to make that person happy. Because I think that
Mm.
for me, I'm going to speak from personal experience. Um, I I can get caught up in those old patterns of behavior,
We all
and
can.
we walk on eggshells because we don't want because somebody else can't manage their emotions, you know what I mean? So, but that's on
Or can't
recognizing that
yet.
that's a
They can't yet manage their emotions. I like to hold
they
space
can't
for
yet.
them to shift, so
And that's where I was going with this. So funny
okay.
that you say that because as long as you stay true to yourself and you still, continue moving forward in your journey and your evolution, if that person is close enough to you, they're going to recognize that and they are going to naturally um shift slightly in a positive way. Like I know there's one person in my life that I can't disconnect from, but some of the conversations that we have lately, I hear them pausing and they say, "Oh, that might not be the right way to say that." And Thank you. And it wasn't from it like, me nagging or like constantly coaching or anything like that. It's just being true to who you are around that person all the time. They might then eventually see a spark that, oh, maybe this isn't quite right. And hopefully, like, they're going to start, maybe be inspired by you and the person that you're becoming. And hopefully that'll kind of maybe give them a little jump start on their own evolution.
Right, because they can't make those changes or can't see things from that perspective if they're not ready and willing to see it.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. They will eventually learn it. And I feel like it's happening a lot more quickly than ever before. Why? Because more people are aware of how energy works. People are disconnecting, choosing who they want to associate with, be with, represent, entertain, whatever. And and that disconnect right there, that's how we're creating this 5D and the 3D reality that's coexisting. And everyone is welcome into 5D, but you do need to be willing to let go of all those negative attachments and choose to live in a more positive energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to show everybody this possible, please.
Well, and
But
it's
you
going
know
to
what? That's
happen. It's happening. It's
it is
happening.
happening. I see a big shift.
Oh, just on social media, I've noticed a big shift as well, and it's exciting to me. It's yeah, like it's like that Me Too movement is shifting from like that victim Me Too. Oh yes, this happened to me, but more so into like, yeah, me too. I can like live in this higher vibration. This is possible. This is the new reality. Yes, it feels too good to be true, but it is true. It's like to be able to own that, yes, this is true. Yes, this is real. Yes, you can feel good all the time because you're repeating all these feel good messages in your mind. Like I think that's where future pacing needs to come in. Imagine, well, we can make it relatable. So if we're living in the now moment, think of a time where we just really felt good. We were in the company of somebody that made us feel good. We were thinking positively and just and now imagine yourself doing living as that person. How what kind of choices would they make? What kind of foods would they choose? What kind of activities would you choose? Now instead of getting caught into the loop of making these transformative changes in your life but then going back into old habits, imagine if you just didn't give up and you just consistently made these good choices. You consistently repeated these positive mantras or affirmations in your mind, if you consistently did this over time, it has to work out. How would that look? Yes, you can feel good all the time. It is possible. You just need to believe in yourself and don't give up. Consistency is key. And it's also for those who are in disbelief, look at the consistency in others. If somebody is consistently being a good, kind human being, and yes, you may be triggered by that because, oh, maybe I'm not doing that. Well, don't see that as bad because that person likely did those things before, but they chose to shift. So if they can do it, so can you. That is the invitation to transformation.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said.
Mm, oh, that felt good. Is there what's your biggest takeaway from this whole conversation? I feel the need to go there.
My biggest takeaway? Um, So my biggest takeaway is I love the fact that you said about consistency because consistency is key. And I often get hijacked by life, I feel, because just at different times of the year, and I allow myself to get caught up in all of those things. So, and then I lose sight of myself and my journey. So, really being mindful to myself and to be consistent in all, like, no matter what it is that I'm doing, to do it in a way that is going to keep me on this beautiful journey that I'm on, but also being excited about it. I am so excited all the time about the future. I am so excited to like to meet the people that I haven't met yet. I am so excited to have experiences that I haven't had experienced yet.
Mm.
I just like to look at the future in this like feeling of hope and excitement and like I'm like, oh, it's just like opening a Christmas present every day, you know? Like it's that's how I'm taking from this conversation is that everything is possible. You do have to be consistent. Try not to let yourself get hijacked by life and emotions and keep moving forward because it's such a beautiful journey and then just so many things that are unknown, that aren't scary, that are going to be just beautiful. I'm just excited about everything in life. I know, sorry
Oh
that's so
my
much, but that's what I'm taking away from it.
no, no. See, I'm gonna rebuke that.
Oh, no, no, it's not
It's
too much,
not
it's
too
never
much.
I'm
See,
gonna be my
this
truly
is a
unique, weird,
good
awkward self.
example. This is a good
Oh,
example of how we
see, I
alchemize
just
it.
downgraded it.
Yes. So
I know.
we're gonna rebuke that energy. Nope, we're not gonna entertain that anymore. And this is gonna be the takeaway for everyone. I believe in myself. Imagine if I never give up all the surprises that will be entering my life. The universe is working with me, and I'm excited for the future because it can be magical. It can be
It will be
so
magical.
magical. It will be magical. Thank you. It will be
Will
magical.
be. See,
Yes.
we all fall into some not
Yes. I rebuke that.
it will be. I mean, it already is actually pretty magical.
So this is a little trick that I also do in the now when we're playing with these I am statements. And just to finish this off, and these higher vibrational belief systems, snap it in. When you
Snap it
snap
in.
it in, it's like locking it into the universe, and this is the way it is done. It's like saying it is done. So I invite people into that. Maybe we'll be living in a world where everyone's like snapping in their new I am statements. Yes, amen. Aho, it is done. So I love this. I think that this is a beautiful place to end this conversation. It is done. Our future is signed, sealed, and delivered in this beautiful vibration. And I am in the magic with you. Thank you for bringing in that beautiful frequency. I feel it. It is so powerful and sparkly. And yeah, the Deva realm is here. We
Yes.
can talk about that another time, but all right. I love you so much. Thank you, everyone, for
Love
listening.
you.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.